Hello, I'm Deirdre Hade, and I am a mystic. As a mystic, we spend a lot of time in metaphorical dark caves, traveling around galaxies and universes, sitting in the middle of different solar systems, counting stars, contemplating what's this all about. So it's wintertime now, and I'd love to share with you some thoughts, and some of the thoughts that have been put together in my book, The Not So Little Book of Surprises, which is an oracle book, a book of prophecy, and a book of guidance from the angelic realms and the ascended masters and prophets that I have met on my journeys into these outer galaxies. So one of the greatest gifts to me was a quote I'd like to share with you, and it was actually given to me over 20 years, over a 20-year period. The first half of it I got in 10 years, and then the creator, the voice, said, well, once you get this down, I'll tell you the rest. And I got the rest of it about 3 years ago. So I'd like to share this because it really does, to me, speak to the times we're living in, and it speaks to the light that is always within the dark of winter, and sometimes the darkness that comes over our earth. It goes like this. The darkness serves the light if you are conscious. The darkness is just darkness if you are unconscious. And what that means in the Kabbalah, in the mystical Hebrew teachings, is that within all darkness, there is a hidden light. There's a light that's been covered. And it's our job as the human beings to discover that hidden light and retrieve it, to rescue it from the darkness, to lift it from the darkness, to illuminate it. It's very similar to the Vedic teachings of discovering consciousness, that the Maya, this is all Maya, but within the Maya, there is the light which is informing this dance, this Leela of life, which is sometimes positive and sometimes negative. We will always have negative times. We will always have negative experiences. And why is that? Why can't we just be in nirvana right now? From the ancient mystical teachings, it's understood that that is because we are in the world of duality. And in duality, the light, which is encased in the dark, is supposed to be freed or let go or brought into awareness. And the only ones to do this are you and I, us, the human beings. And that our job here, our purpose here really, is to lift these sparks of light and bring them back to the Creator. What that means practically, the nuts and bolts of it is, we're here for service. Every time you do a kind act, every time you bring justice or truth, you actually are healing the entire universe. You are actually healing the Creator. So this quote that was given to me over 20 years came during a very dark time in my life when my father was in the hospital, and he'd been diagnosed with terminal cancer, and we had a surgery that hopefully would save his life. However, the doctors made a terrible mistake, and it was now revealed that this surgery would actually kill him sooner than the cancer. As you can imagine, I was distraught. And God came, a voice came in my prayers, and God said, the darkness serves the light. And I got upset. I said, well, how can you say that? This is my father. What do you mean that darkness serves the light? And the voice said, now it is time for you to learn this. And when you know it, I'll give you the next piece. My father passed away. My father was an atheist. He had left the church, the Catholic Church, and he believed in God as science. I grew up with the word science is the new God. Science will save us. Science will fix everything. I'm dedicated to science. But in the end, it was science that took my father's life. And the last thing my father said was, the science I believed in betrayed me. And then he said, maybe I should have listened to all that miracle stuff you'd been talking about. And then he said, I see the light. I see the light now. And in that moment when my father passed away, I was with him holding his hand. His skin became luminous. It was just so clear. His eyes were clear. He wasn't afraid. And I could see that he was entering a state of enlightenment, a state of expanded consciousness. And he took my hand. He said, thank you so much, but I'll always be with you. I know that now because I see the light. And perhaps because I was so blank pig-headed, this was the only way God could get my attention. So I meditated on this for a long time after my father passed away, about how a tragedy can bring us redemption. And then I heard the voice. The voice said, the darkness serves the light if you are conscious. I thought, oh yes. If I wasn't open to going to that place with my father, if I was so caught up in my anger, of which I had a great deal of, against the hospital and what went wrong and how they'd harmed us, if I'd been so caught up in that, I would have missed that my father found the deep connection that he'd been looking for his whole life. And he had a complicated life the way many brilliant geniuses do. I would have missed it. But I made a choice to be conscious. I made a choice to say, what is the meaning of this, and go deeper. Many years passed. I went through another experience. And then I heard, or was given, the next part of this. And that is, the darkness is just the darkness if you are unconscious. Now, this message came to me 5 years ago. And I was meditating on the darkness that I was seeing roaming the planet. And I was seeing these, the head rise of fascism, dictatorship, intolerance, anti-Semitism, prejudice, hatred, everything we're seeing much more of now. I was seeing the beginning of this, and I saw this dark wave covering the planet like a serpent, and I got very afraid. And I went into my prayer, and I asked, what does this mean? This is what I heard. I then realized, of course, the darkness that comes, the darkness that's upon us now, the darkness that's coming, if we stay unconscious, this darkness will be wasted. It'll be for naught, because we'll just continue to fall into unconsciousness, into darkness, like the Dark Ages. It can happen again. We think we're so technical and we've got airplanes and spaceships that can't happen, but it can. But it doesn't have to happen. And the way it doesn't have to happen is that when the darkness comes, you stay conscious and you ask the question, what am I to learn here? Where is the light? What is the gift? What can I do to speak up How do I stand for justice? What is my core value? What do I believe in? And am I willing to fight for that light and fight for that truth? As a warrior of light, as a person of consciousness. And what that means, it doesn't just mean going out and being an activist. That's important. But if you're not an activist in here, if you're not slaying the demons in here, if you're not burning the non-truths that keep you from being who you are in here, if you're not looking at every place that you're angry and saying, how can I address this and not be angry? If you're not looking in your heart and saying, I choose to lift hatred out of my heart, no matter what anybody else is throwing at me, I choose to hold the light. I will not allow hatred to fill my heart. That is being the activist within. And unless we do that with our activism, we cannot change. We're just spreading around all the gray area. We are not redeeming the sparks. We are not lifting the light from the dark, because the dark is a covering, or in Hebrew it's called a klipot, a covering that hides a gift. So we are at a choice point now. We are at a time where we are being given a huge opportunity, an opportunity to transform, to become conscious and alive, to really manifest the gifts that this world can bring to us. But it is the 12th hour. But we can do this as long as we remain conscious and question and go deeper and continue the journey of becoming a true human being. Thank you so much for joining me today. And from the not so little book of surprises, the book of prophecy that has enriched my life from the ascended masters and archangels, we all say, God bless you.